The ghost ship The Sea's Unsolved Mystery, the full story of the Mary Celeste. On December 4, 1872, in the heart of the turbulent Atlantic Ocean, the British sailing ship Di Gratia was struggling through rough waves. The weather was harsh, and the sky was filled with gray clouds reflecting the vast and desolate ocean. Amidst this scene, a lookout sailor spotted another vessel sailing strangely and erratically. Its sails were oddly set, swaying aimlessly, as if it were a ship without a captain. As Di Gratia approached, its captain, David Morehouse, immediately recognized the ship. It was the Mary Celeste, an American vessel that had left New York 8 days earlier. Captain Morehouse was shocked. He knew her captain, Benjamin Briggs, personally. In fact, the two friends had dinner together the night before Mary Celeste set sail. This personal connection deepened his concern, turning the scene from a mysterious maritime incident into a potential personal tragedy. The core of this mystery lies in the stark contradiction that faced the Di Gratia crew. The Mary Celeste was sailing, which suggested human control, yet its erratic movement and complete lack of people on board indicated a total absence of command. It wasn't a wreck. It was a fully moving entity, a living mystery adrift at sea. That contradiction is what made the Mary Celeste story timeless. It doesn't ask why a ship sank. It asks something far more terrifying. How could a seaworthy vessel be abandoned in the middle of the ocean? And where did the 10 souls on board vanish to? Oliver Devoe, the first mate of the Di Gratia, boarded the Mary Celeste with some sailors. They were met with complete silence, broken only by the creaking of the ship's wood and the crashing waves. What they found was a series of bewildering contradictions that only deepened the mystery. The ship was in generally good condition and perfectly seaworthy. It was a wet mess due to some seawater that had seeped in, about 1 meter in the cargo hold, not enough to sink the ship or even panic an experienced crew. Her cargo of 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol was nearly intact except for 9 empty barrels. It's important to note that this alcohol was poisonous and undrinkable, which ruled out early theories of a drunken mutiny. Strangest of all was the state of the crew's belongings. In the sailors' cabins, personal items, money, and clothes were untouched. In the captain's cabin, his wife's sewing machine and his daughter's toys were still there, painting a touching image of a family life suddenly halted. The ship's stores held enough food and water for a 6-month voyage. But among everything left behind, some vital items were missing, and they formed the key to the mystery. The ship's only lifeboat was gone. Also missing were Captain Briggs's navigational instruments, his sextant and chronometer, as well as the official logbook. The ship's logbook was found, but its last entry was dated November 25th, 10 days before discovery, and made no mention of anything unusual, placing the ship near Santa Maria Island in the Azores. The pattern of missing and remaining items forms a kind of forensic signature of a deliberate decision. What was taken, lifeboat and navigation tools, are survival tools, not pirate loot or mutineer plunder. What was left, money valuables, suggests the motive wasn't theft. This analysis reframes the central question of the mystery. Instead of asking what external force attacked the ship, we now ask what could persuade a seasoned captain to risk his family and crew in a tiny lifeboat in the middle of the Atlantic. Beneath the cold facts of this empty crime scene lies a real human tragedy. To grasp the depth of the mystery, we must know the 10 souls who vanished with that lifeboat. Leading them was Captain Benjamin Briggs, 37 years old. A religious man, he didn't drink alcohol and was highly respected in maritime circles. He was also part owner of the ship. His wife, Sarah Elizabeth, 30, and their daughter, Sophia, 2, accompanied him on this journey. Their son, Arthur, 7, was left with his grandmother in Massachusetts to continue school. He would spend the rest of his life waiting for a family that never came home. The crew was carefully selected by Briggs and consisted of 7 experienced, reputable sailors. Briggs himself expressed satisfaction in letters before sailing. This ruled out suspicion of a rebellious or incompetent crew. Having such a competent captain, with a trusted crew, and most importantly, his own wife and child aboard, raises the psychological threshold for abandoning ship. This group wouldn't panic easily. The event that made them evacuate must have seemed like a real, immediate, and undeniable threat. That understanding becomes a filter for evaluating all subsequent theories. Any explanation that doesn't rise to that level of existential danger simply doesn't make sense. The bad luck surrounding Mary Celeste didn't start in 1872. The ship was originally launched as the Amazon in 1861 and seemed cursed from the start. On its maiden voyage, her first captain fell gravely ill and died. Later, the ship collided in the English Channel, and in 1867 it ran aground in a storm off the coast of Canada, declared wrecked and sold. This string of misfortunes built the foundation for the ship's curse legend, not just sailor tales. This narrative directly influenced the investigation in Gibraltar after the ship was found. The lead prosecutor, Frederick Solly Flood, expected foul play and looked for conspiracy, which biased the interpretation of evidence and led to baseless accusations against the DeGradia crew. Ironically, the ship's real end had nothing to do with the supernatural. After the mysterious disappearance, the Mary Celeste continued sailing under various owners, 17 in total. In 1885, her final captain, Gilman Parker, deliberately sank her on a reef in Haiti in a failed insurance scam. So the curse wasn't from ghosts or vengeance. It was from human greed. This cheap ending contrasts starkly with the majestic myth that had grown around the ship, highlighting the gap between romantic fiction and bitter reality. Over 150 years, a complex web of theories has formed around the Mary Celeste, ranging from wild fantasy to rigorous science. Tracing the evolution of these ideas is a story in itself, about our need to explain the past. Early on, conspiracy and accusations dominated. Some claimed mutiny or pirate attack, but those fell apart in light of untouched valuables and cargo and lack of any violence. Then, suspicion turned to DeGradia's crew, with accusations that Morehouse murdered Briggs and stole the ship for salvage rewards. But this theory ignores the fact that DeGradia was a slower ship and left port 8 days later, making pursuit and interception unlikely. Also, the two captains were friends. In the absence of hard evidence, supernatural theories flourished. Sea monsters, alien abductions, even otherworldly forces. The young Arthur Conan Doyle helped solidify these legends with an 1884 short story offering a dramatic fictional account. That was the moment reality and fantasy merged forever in the public mind. Eventually, more rational theories emerged. The most enduring is the alcohol explosion theory. It's based on the 9 empty barrels, which were made from red oak, which is a more porous wood than the white oak used for the others. Possibly, these leaked alcohol vapor, forming a flammable cloud in the hold. The likely scenario? A small explosion or strong vapor smell frightened the crew. Captain Briggs, fearing a catastrophic blast, may have ordered a temporary evacuation. They boarded the lifeboat tied to the ship by a long rope, waiting nearby until it was safe. But a storm or rogue wave snapped the line, leaving them adrift in the Atlantic, helpless, while the Mary Celeste sailed on without them. In modern times, researchers like Anne MacGregor use data analysis to build a more plausible theory, not based on a single event, but a chain of small failures, the domino effect. Navigation error. The chronometer was likely broken. Comparing logs with historical weather, it seems Briggs was 120 miles west of where he thought he was, explaining his confusion when land appeared late. Pump failure. The ship had carried coal before this trip and underwent major repairs. Coal dust and debris may have clogged the pumps. DeGradia's crew found one pump dismantled, evidence the crew had tried to fix it. Fear of flooding. With broken pumps, Briggs had no reliable way to gauge if the ship was sinking. Sailing in bad weather with faulty instruments, he no longer trusted his tools to assure the ship's safety. The tragic decision, seeing land ahead, confused and uncertain, Briggs made the only choice that seemed rational, to abandon what he believed was a sinking ship and try to reach shore in the lifeboat. It was a logical decision, based on faulty information. But here, where the explanation for the abandonment ends, the true mystery begins. We may guess why they left, but we'll never know what happened to the 10 souls in that small lifeboat. Were they lost to a storm? Did they die of hunger, thirst, despair, or reach some deserted shore only to perish in silence? Their fate remains a secret the ocean never gave up. And so Mary Celeste lives on, not just as a historical puzzle, but as the original ghost ship, a symbol of humanity's fear of the unknown, of vanishing without trace, of nature's vast and indifferent power. Her legend didn't endure because of anything supernatural. It lasted because it strikes a deep chord in the human soul, a haunting echo that will ever adrift through the shadowy annals of the sea. In the end, more than 150 years later, the fate of the Mary Celeste crew remains a secret buried beneath the waves. Was it a curse? A fatal error? Or is the truth stranger than fiction? We may never know, but the story of the ghost ship will echo forever as a reminder of the sea's power and its endless mystery. What do you believe? Was it the alcohol explosion or something else? Share your theory in the comments and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more real-world mysteries that have baffled the world.